Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question, what is consciousness? Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Yes. Hello, and welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Another moment that I can get excited. The start of the show. I always love the start of the show. I can introduce the live stream of consciousness and myself. I'm Michael Zinn. The live stream of consciousness is my favorite place to be. A couple of people I know that are out there have told me they like being here. What's up, Pat Powser? I see you. What's up, Ninja Kitty? I see you. Welcome. So the live stream of consciousness is a place to connect. Just like the introduction said, are we connected to a greater power? Yes, we are. The greater power is this, the power of you and me connecting right now. And I love that. I love this platform. I love this moment. I see Grace Grella out there as well, and Helen Wagner. What is up, folks? I love that you are here all the time and supporting me. I'm excited because tonight I have actually a host of another podcast that has been an inspiration to me. My guest he's such a great interviewer. He has his own show called The Missing Link, which just kind of came up on my feed, I guess, because of the way the algorithm works. They try to make it work against us, but it worked for me in this case, and I think it works for you. In a lot of cases, it connects you with things that you're interested in, and we connected on a lot of levels. And he does some really cool stuff. Something that's been happening recently is this live kind of open forum community thing, which I'm really digging. It's something I had wanted to do with this platform because StreamYard's so easy. I could send you guys who are watching a link. You could go pick up your phone, you could click on a link, and boom, you could be on the show. So Jesse has coordinated that stuff, and it's been going really, really well. So I am super excited. And Grace, I'm going to ring my bell for you. Boom. Always watching on both platforms, helping out the cause, and that just reminded me to tell you guys, if you like the show, if you like what you see, maybe you want to wait till the end to decide, but if you like what you saw at that moment, comment. It helps me. Share it with your friends. Just click a button. All you got to do is click a button and say that you liked it, and that will help this community grow, the live stream community. And Helen is saying she actually saw me when I was a guest on his show. Yes, I was a guest on his show, and he's been on the show before, so I get to say, like one of my favorites, welcome to the live stream of consciousness, returning champion, Jesse HAL. What's happening?
Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. So we're supposed to have an interview today with a good friend of ours, Andreas, on his birthday, but apparently his cousin came in from Mexico that he didn't know about and surprised him, so he had to cancel that, which that was all right. We have 3 interviews tomorrow and an interview Saturday, and then we're going to be doing another open panel, what you just talked about, on Saturday evening, starting a little earlier at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. I love it. I want to talk more about the open panel for sure, because that is just such a great idea. It's such a great use of this platform. But I want to talk about your show. You're so busy all the time. It's just amazing how many interviews you've had, how many great guests and conversations you've had. And now it seems like you've even ramped it up 3 a day. That's pretty crazy.
It's not by purpose that it worked out that way, but we're trying to, like, when we first started The Missing Link, we started 1 interview on a Thursday, and then we added a 2nd interview on a Thursday, and then added a 3rd interview on a Thursday. So basically I was doing 3 interviews in one day, being live for about 8 to 10 hours, for those 3 interviews. And then we added in, started getting busier. Then we had to add in a Wednesday, then added a second in a Wednesday, then added one on a Tuesday, then a second in a Tuesday. So we were doing like, 6, 7 interviews in like 2 or 3 days. Then we added on a Monday, and then we
Wow.
decided, you know what, we're just going to do one interview a day. So I was booking Thursday, like Tuesday to Friday.
Mhm.
And then I was trying to leave Mondays open just in case we had to slide someone in, or maybe someone that's a little bit more well known for those days. And
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
basically, we're so booked right now that we're booked for all of March, all of April, all of May, half of June, and uh,
Wow.
and then all of a sudden, like, like for this interview with Crow 77 that came up, he's tomorrow. They
Mhm.
gave me a couple dates, and said,
Right.
hey, can you choose one of these dates? So I actually added in where I already had two already booked, but
Gotcha.
just see that was one of the dates that kind of worked out there. And when someone says, hey, like, we have a court date coming up on Friday, is there any chance? So I'll squeeze in another one. So
Right.
basically most of this week and last week there's been 2 per day, and there's 3 tomorrow. But there was one earlier on this week that she couldn't figure out her headphones. I couldn't hear her or whatever.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we canceled that one, and then today's ones got canceled. So otherwise, I think we were gonna have 8 this week, but
Wow.
it's only gonna be I think 7, or no, 6, because the 2 that did cancel. But yeah, it's fun. It's quite a journey to be able to talk with so many amazing, beautiful people around the world. And it's quite inspiring, and it's not as draining as you would maybe think, because a lot of it is quite energetic as well.
I totally get that. I mean, I so enjoy the conversations. I think it's, I didn't even realize it at first. For me, I was just enjoying the conversations, and then people started saying, "Oh, you're doing good work," and I'm like, "Work?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then I was able to see, and then you popped up into my field, and I was started watching you, and I realized, wow, this is kind of work. Like people, there's a lot of um different levels of awareness out there, right? And I think it's a good place to explore that, with those different awarenesses. I've been talking recently about how, and I think you've said this on your show too, like we all hold a puzzle piece, right? There's existence is a big picture. It's a big picture, and we're all a piece of that picture. And maybe puzzle is not the right word, but we all fit into that picture, and we're all a part of that picture, and that picture isn't complete without us, right? So there's so much in that, and again, I love how you explore that on your show, with all the different points of view, all the different perspectives, and I loved the experience I had on the last one of your open forums where that was kind of recognized. It was like, wow, look at these people who are able to just talk and let each other talk, and see things differently, but still be together in this open panel and be a part of something like bigger than themselves, and I love that so much. It's like I was like, I can't believe he's doing it. And it makes sense. You work a lot harder than I do at this. For me, this is just once a week. It's kind of like my happy place. I definitely, I always leave room open for possibilities that there could be more to this. I mean, I work at a studio, I produce other podcasts, so there's always things happening. And I know that this being on camera has become a part of my journey. It wasn't before. I was always behind the camera, right? But just because I guess I found, because of my love for communicating and connecting with people, I was just like, oh my God, this is great. It seems like you found the same thing. Is that what you find?
Yeah, for sure. And just imagine, how much work you put into doing it once a week, times that by 5, 6, 7, 8 broadcasts. So I spend a majority of, well, not maybe not a majority, but a good chunk of my day every day, you know, for the missing link, right? Whether
Right.
it's, booking or whether it's creating the shows for the next day, or I spend about a half an hour to 40 minutes every day copying and pasting all the links into all the different platforms. So
Sure.
I'm hoping that I did that for this show here tonight for the YouTube channel, and
Awesome.
I
Thank you.
probably put it to about 100 different places. So
Awesome.
hopefully that a lot more people get to see your show to
I hope.
come and subscribe. So if you're coming from anywhere where I posted the links, please subscribe to
Yeah,
Michael's
say
channel.
hello
Or
in the comments. I'd love to know you're here. Helen Wagner says, good or bad, everything flows together. And when the pieces fit, you could feel it and hear the click. I love that. That's great, Helen. So true. It's really, I mean, it's funny. I work with a guy who I really love. He's super high energy. He's a marketing guy, and he's really motivated and smart, and he's all about mindset. And I can feel the click, and it's just so interesting because we're very different people. We're just very different, and there's such a great energy at the studio right now since he's been there. So that's just what that made me think of. And I see Karina Eastman go. Jesse, welcome to the live stream. You've brought somebody, and there's the evidence. I love it. So I know you've been on the show before. I don't know if you like Alex Ferrari. I like Alex Ferrari, and he does the oh my god, the soul Hat Pals, you're going to tell me what the name of his Next Level Soul is, his podcast, and it's real. The level of the guest is amazing, and that's what the inspiration is, Jesse. When I see you, and I know for me, even in my experience, like talking to people like Tommy Chong, like just having a show where you have conversations like this, the opportunity to do that pops up, and you get to have these amazing experiences and these amazing conversations. So it's cool watching the conversations out there that I like and being like, ooh, I want to have that guy on my show one day. You know what I mean? And just kind of putting that out into the universe. Who's been your favorite guest so far?
favorite guest. There's so many different guests, and so like we just did our 700th show.
Wow.
Not yet. Was it? Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday was our 700th interview on the Missing Link. So,
Congratulations.
and out of those 700, there's a bunch of people that went a bunch of times. So I'm assuming at least 550 different people that we've probably minimum of probably 550 different people.
Amazing.
So yeah, there's all kinds of wide varieties of favorites. I know Jason Christoff, he's a self-sabotage coach. That last one, and he's done lots of podcasts, and a lot of people said that was the best podcast they've ever seen him on from all of his people, right?
Wow.
So yeah, that was
Awesome.
quite a good compliment. I'm
Compliment.
hearing that. So but yeah, that was a really good one. He's a self-sabotage coach, so he reprograms people's brains. They've programmed people to self-sabotage themselves, to not want wealth, to just watch TV, to just to just feel worthless, and act accordingly. So he kind of takes that same programming, but helps people program them in like good habits, and it's okay to be wealthy, and all these things that goes against what
belief systems, new belief systems.
Against what the programming is. So that that was a really good. We interviewed him. I think that was the third time that we've had him on, and that was fantastic. But I could go through so many different ones that are just quite amazing.
I can imagine. And Hat Pauser is saying she's pretty good at self-sabotage without a coach, which is great. Yeah, I can imagine you've had some great experiences. So this sounds interesting to me, and I guess what it brought to mind, and you even said it, is kind of there's this. I don't like to speak about it the same way you do, right? When you say they do this and they do that, because it's so kind of ambiguous, right? Not that I don't believe those things, I do. My belief systems is that there are definitely forces out there that are not looking out for your best interest, and bottom line, right? So and it's just, I kind of think for me, it's just being aware to watch out for that, and then also being aware of your own power of what you can contribute to the rest of the world, to what else is out there. And that's a big part of, I think, why you and I connect, which is the High Vibe Love Tribe, which you actually started. We talked about that last time you were on the show. You started that how many years ago now?
So that would have been probably coming up on 4 years, around March, April, about 4 years ago. So that would have been the first year, just after they shut everything down. You know, we were, you know, like for 13 straight years at that point on Facebook and other social media platforms, I was, you know, trying to make people aware of what was going on in the world, kind of like the darker underbelly of the beast, and rattling the cages as hard as I could, and, you know, showing people. But some of that stuff is dark, and not everybody likes to, even acknowledge it. And so we would post things that were very funny, very cute, and then conspiratorial. Very funny, very cute, and then conspiratorial. So it wasn't all just conspiracy in your face. But when the people started to drop, and you know, they wanted, you know, the first thing I said is they must have lit up the towers, and that's why the people. Hey, beautiful, missing you too.
And good to see you.
And so I kind of said that they lit up the towers, and I think that's why they're dropping. And then when David Wilcock did a Meditate for the Earth Day, they had their Tibetan singing bowl. So I was like, I grabbed my Tibetan singing bowl, and
Nice.
and then I decided to go live. And the next thing you know, there's like 20, 30, 40 people on the live, and everybody's like, you got to come back tomorrow. You got to come back tomorrow. And then, so we went live the next day and the next day, and we went live 11 straight months, 7 days a week for 2 to 4 hours a night. There's only 4 days in 11 months. While they wanted everyone to be afraid, we created this thing called the High Vibe Love Tribe, where we raised people's vibrations, gave them a nice, safe, sacred place to come and hang out in. And so we would turn on some electronic music and then dance for the first hour, and then slow it down, put on some guided meditation, some healing frequencies, Tibetan singing bowl, and some bongo drums. And so just a nice, where nobody could talk about the, you know, the stuff, the lockdown. Nobody could talk about the governments. Nobody could talk about anything that was about, you could do that anywhere else you wanted to. All these content creators and lives, you could do this, but this was a nice, safe, sacred space. And at one point we were getting over 3,000 live views just on Facebook alone. I think the biggest one was 3,400. As soon as I shut it off, I was like, 3,400 people were like watching that. And like, obviously not the whole time, but in and out of, you know, within that, we were reaching like 2 to 3,000 or 3,400 people per night. So it was quite epic. And I'm like, people are watching me dance. I'm like, why are people watching me?
Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Let me answer that for you, because the other night, when I first saw this, and now I've been on a few of them, and let me just acknowledge Helen is saying that Hat took the words right out of her mouth. And Angeline, thank you. It's been awesome having you on the panels. And love what you say. Thank you. And please thumbs up and share and subscribe, everybody. Yes. So my answer to why are people watching you dance is because energy, right? You're giving off that high vibe love, that high love vibe, I guess you would say. And I know for me, you were doing one of these things on Facebook. You were live, and I think I have it here. Yeah, you were just live, and you were doing like, oh, that's showing the wrong window. Hold on a second. Present. Share screen window and StreamYard. Nope, this is what I want. There we go. All right. So it was just you at first, and you were just dancing, and then you had put the invitation out for people to join if they want. And I couldn't help it. I was just, there's such a good energy to it. And like you said, it felt like such a safe space. And it's interesting. Let me lower this so I can talk while we watch this. It's interesting because, again, I was always in production and I was always on the other side of the camera, and I wasn't I wasn't always apt to go on screen. And so I understand that people are kind of shy, right? And not always like, ooh, I want to go on, especially like, having a show and inviting guests. Oh, I love your show, but I'm kind of shy, and it's like, okay, I don't want to force anyone to do it. It's a platform that's there if you want it. But it's almost like a karaoke stage, right? Like once you step up there and you do it and you just let go and you forget that people are watching you and you're just having fun and doing it, it's an amazing place to be. You're like, all of a sudden you want to go to karaoke every week, and it's again, it's just such a great way to connect with other human beings. And so I still want to talk more about this. So it was really COVID that inspired the connecting over this platform. Yeah. And 3,000 people just dance, just watching you dance and just chilling and being like, hey man, this is cool,
Yeah, we didn't invite, people too much, I don't think, during that time, but that's where Angeline, where I kind of met her. She started coming to the High Vibe Love Tribe, and then we started talking. Like, we had a
I had
friend.
no idea.
Yeah, we had a friend, a mutual friend in common. So she had seen me before when I was doing lives with a friend, like a friend, our mutual friend said, hey, Jesse, I'd like to get on doing some live, coaching and things, but, I've never done that before. And I was just
Right.
wondering if you could do that with me. And she saw me guest on other shows. I never had my show. I was always doing things like you behind the scenes, right?
Right.
And then just because I knew so much, people would invite me on their shows to talk about what was going on. And so then I started, going more in front of the camera. So then she had this course for 45 days. And then there was like a word, love, equanimity, fear, all these different things. So I took it super seriously. And then I wrote down each word, did all definitions. Sometimes I wrote poems and I wrote pages on each one. So we would get up and we would go and hold each other accountable to go. We went for 45 straight days, did all 45 topics, and then we did it again. So we went for 90 straight days. We did 2 rounds of this course. And on the second round, obviously I had all the ones written down. I had everything for, for the course or whatever. But
Right.
that's where I first went like everyday live or whatever, right? And then at that time, Angeline had like saw me, but I guess she didn't realize that was me, that she was in the comments. She went back later and saw herself commenting on some of those lives or whatever. And then Angeline was doing some healing work at her place, and then I saw her live sharing her story, and I was just like, wow. I was like very drawn in, but I had a girlfriend at that time when she was in town, and I never went to go see her. Like, I didn't know anything, never met her. And then
Right.
when the High Vibe Love Tribe started, she started coming and hanging out there, and then we started conversing every day. And then next thing you know, she's coming up and being a part of the High Vibe Love Tribe. So she was up there dancing with me, and it was really amazing because it got us connecting in such a way, because even though when you have a partner, you don't always have time or energy or to go to do dancing and stuff. So this was us dancing every night together, and that's such a beautiful feeling when you can actually make space and time for your partner where you can actually connect that way. It just heightens everything for each of you.
Totally. Wow. You know what? I never knew any of that, and that is such a great story, Jesse. I love it so much. Yeah, your relationship when you're both on screen and you guys interact, it's very evident. You know what I mean? The energy that you share is very evident, and I'm very fortunate. I'm also in a relationship like that. My partner is a Reiki master, and she's a healer, and she actually she calls herself the quiet healer. Her name is Janice. Hello, Janice, and I think she's out there. she calls herself the quiet healer. She's very introverted, and or she was very introverted, and that moniker really works for her. But she saw the live stream of consciousness. She was a fan, and she saw it as an avenue to address her own comfort zone and step outside of her comfort zone. So what she did was she created a show for herself on her own, called Unique Peace, and she has some amazing guests on, and she talks about what brings that person peace, how does that person bring peace to others, and what peace is, by your perspective. Everybody's got a different perspective, and it's so amazing because I've witnessed the whole process, right? From helping her create a graphic. Angeline saying hello. Angeline, what a beautiful name. What a great vibration. This July, we've been together 4 years. I'm just catching up with the comments. Sorry, you're gonna have to remind me what I was saying. Yeah, you got it's one hell of a story. Hat Powser.
One heaven of a story.
One heaven of a story. Yes, Hat Powser was saying that's one hell of a story. We need a book from you, Angeline.
And
It is
just
heaven of a
to
story.
know that Hat Powser just changed the H and the P.
You know what? It's so funny because Hat showed up on my show for a while. She was making some comments and always really being super supportive. And I just was like, oh, awesome. Hat Powser, Hat Powser. And then one day I saw Patricia Hauser on my Facebook and I'm like, wait a second. So I figured out the mystery, and a couple of weeks ago we blew the cover there. But it's such a great name, and she brings such a great energy to the audience. I have such a great audience, and you do too. It's just so great to interact with your audience and feel the support from your audience. And I feel the support when I'm watching you. I feel the support for your audience. And Angeline saying Pat Hauser rocks, and Karina Eastman is out there. Fantastic. I recognized you before. What's happening? I'm gonna just ring my bell because I'm feeling good. And so Jesse, again, you're really an inspiration to me. It's interesting. I'm trying to figure out how to address this, right? We talked about this a little bit last time, but it's interesting, the idea of being a spiritual person and spirituality and love, and being connected to love as the basis of source, right? It's interesting to explore the things that you explore. In my mind, I am so interested in the things you explore, but for me, I feel like, for me, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I just feel a very specific approach, and I don't feel like I want to give energy to certain things. So that's, I just chose not to talk about that stuff on my show necessarily. But there's absolutely an undeniable connection between conspiracy theory and critical thinking, and spirituality. In my mind, it just comes from the idea that at one point human beings were connected to their spirituality and had so much more, I don't want to say power, but so much more. They were so much more connected with the domain, right? And over the years, like you were talking about earlier, they've coated us with so many layers of self-doubt. Self-sabotage was the first thing that you talked about. Fear is a big one, right? That covers so many things. And you, like, head on, you just address those things. With some of your guests are very, very passionate about what they believe in, and I just love, I admire the way that you navigate that, right? Because that's really important, because it's like, I've seen you have guests on where you don't necessarily agree, and you're like, okay, I don't agree with you, but I want you to state your piece, and I don't know if you've had Flat Earth Dave on your show, but I was so determined to just have a peaceful conversation with that guy, and I loved every minute of our conversation. He was such a great guy to talk to, and it's like, whatever his shtick might be, right? Or not. It's just like, he's a human being just like you and me. You know what I mean? And I love that. I feel like I'm just babbling because I'm so happy to be hanging out with you, Jesse. Like, I feel like we should hang out in person, but you're in Canada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We should hang out, and we will one day hang out for sure. Um, but I want to let you talk. Why don't we start here, right? Last time you were on the show, I always asked a question and you gave me your answer, but I believe in the philosophy that you can't stand in the same river twice, right? Even in the same spot, it's different water, it's different flow. Give me your answer to the question. What is consciousness?
Well, consciousness is everything, is the all in all. So, we're all connected together through love. And, the ether is something that scientifically, they don't want to admit that exists. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they can't explain gravity. It's because this etheric or
Mm,
this universal pull that, kind of binds us all together. And
mm,
the biggest conspiracy out there is that they want to disconnect us from that source, from that ether, from that connection.
mhm,
And, that's hence why. And the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear, because with fear, they control people to hate others, to divide others. It's fear that keeps you doubting yourself. It's fear that disconnects you
I was going to say
from
hating
that
yourself even. Yeah.
consciousness, disconnects you
Mhm.
from that consciousness. So consciousness is the all in all. This is what creation is, and we're all connected, we're all flowing through it. We're either flowing with it, we're resisting it, where there's all kinds of ways that people can be incorporated into this consciousness. But obviously the best way is just to flow with it the best you can, because I'll share a poem that I wrote, and
Yeah.
it's called What's Inside. And it goes, my heart beats fast as I think about life. I think about what's in store. I think about all the good and the bad things that life has brought so far. What I came to realize is that life goes on no matter what you say or do. So live every day to its fullest, and all your hopes and dreams will come true.
Mhm,
And it's just flowing through that consciousness the best you can. And I think
mhm,
that there's lots of stumbling blocks, and it's a roller coaster ride and bumps in the road, but if you can just learn to flow through those things instead of really taking them hard on yourself, like why me and why this, and really
mhm.
beating yourself up about it, I think that that's the one of the most important things that you can do, because we can never guarantee that it's going to be smooth sailing, but how you respond to things is a true measure of yourself, and your place in this consciousness that we're all connected in.
Absolutely. I love that. Absolutely. It's really the whole idea of controlling things and all of that stuff. It's like part of that programming and part of that thing that you're talking about. And really, it's like the most control you can have is by letting go of control and just realizing that everything is going to happen the way it happens and be a part of that flow. I want to say hi to Monica Kavanaugh, a new name haven't seen out there. Thank you for coming. And also I saw another one, Linda Winger. Welcome, Jesse. You brought some good folk ringing the bell. Very excited about that. Um, and I did see also Helen said she went looking for the programming through reading books in the library as a child. She just didn't realize that's what she was taking in. Ah, interesting. Yeah, it's kind of addicting, I think, some of the programming. You don't even realize it's happening. I think that's part of that's built into it, you know? Yeah. Cool. And I think I saw another comment I wanted to acknowledge. Let me just scroll back here. Don't see. Oh, you had Flat Earth Dave. Oh, I wanted to talk about Flat Earth Dave. This comment. I love Dave on a mission to make us think. That was the appeal that I had because I agree with him that what we've been told, it may not be exactly how things are. And that's really the basis of the earth. Is it round or is it flat? So I agree with him on that position in the way that I kind of feel like that's what it represents. That's what flat earth represents to me. The idea that there's some sort of disconnect from what we've been told and what we're allowed to know, and what the actual reality is. And I see Taffy out there as well. What's up, Taffy? Thank you for coming to the live stream. Please comment. You already did, so thank you. Like, do subscribe or whatever if you like what you see. But welcome most of all. So what's next for you, Jesse? You have created yourself a beautiful community with the Missing Link, and you said you've been doing that for 15 years, talking about kind of the underbelly of dark things that are going on. What are you going to do with this great combination that you created of super loving people and then super critical thinking people?
Well, knowledge is power, and the more knowledge we all have collectively, the less power they have over us. So it's just more about, attaining higher and higher consciousness, figuring all this stuff out and being able to flow through it. So at the time when the lockdowns happened, it was 13 straight years on Facebook. So it's been about 17 years now, being on social media, looking to share. But I've been kind of awake to what's been going on for 30 plus years, right? So, when I was hanging out with a lot of really rough and tough people in the neighborhood around town, I was trying to organize them to let's take over the government, and so then I want to become prime minister of this country, and then I got away from all of them, and I went to adult upgrading school, then I went to college, then I went to web design school, and I wanted to get into this politics, right? So I've been figuring out systems on how we can fix things, and I really thought I was going to become Prime Minister of Canada, and I would only be for one day, because I would fire the whole entire government the day I got elected. I would fire everything, and then everybody that worked for government would have to write a letter on why their position was valuable to the country, and and explain what they're doing and why it's worth their being paid for it. And then I would set up a council and all this I didn't want all this, the way things were is so bad. So that's kind of where my kind of interest kind of lied. And then when the 2016 election came up and Trump I was like, whoa, I'm like, what the heck is this? And I was watching The Apprentice, so I actually liked this guy, and I really didn't like, Hillary and her, demonic left side. And so I went off writing deep pieces on what I thought about the whole her and her crew, and real factual, lots of evidence-based stuff. And then I started copying and pasting it to every single political post on social media that I seen. So I was posting my writings for every day into 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 places per night, because there was no restrictions back then. And I'm probably one of the reasons why we have these type of restrictions, because I literally would just copy and paste things everywhere, and I'd have people comment and saying, how many times have you copied and pasted this? This is the 5th time I've seen this in some random guy that I don't even know, right? And he just sees it on anybody that posted something political, any news organization, everywhere. I just posted all this stuff, right? And so they had to control, someone like me, that's because I'm very fast and I just zipped through the internet, and then I reached a lot of people. So I don't know, we know that leaders are selected and not elected, so I don't know if he was planned to get in there, or if I helped in any way with, how I did things. But, I definitely didn't want her to be in power and stuff. And then when, Joe Biden gets elected, and then, I had hope for, Trump and his side. And then when Biden didn't get arrested on inauguration, that was it. I was like, that we've been duped on that side as well. So, I really had a lot of faith. And so I felt like I had let a lot of people down, because I was really, had a lot of faith that, things were going to turn into the favor. So, I had to eat some humble pie, and I had no issues with that, because my whole thing throughout this journey is I really wish that I was wrong about a lot of these things. I wish people could prove me wrong. I wish that life proves me wrong, that a lot of these dark conspiratorial things aren't, really happening. I'd rather them not be than me be right, if
Right.
that makes any
Right.
sense.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean there's some pretty dark things that are presented and do make you think like, wait a second, this how could this make sense? And then you realize the way that it does make sense, and it can get pretty scary. And again, and that's kind of what I love about you is that there's this awesome connection with love, right? You still like so I guess with that being said, what are you what do you got planned for the future as far as not necessarily like your show or anything like that, but just surviving? I mean, I know, and I agree with you on this, that you are very hopeful that all of this crap that's going on right now, and that we can agree on that there's a lot of crap going on. As far as you're talking about the elections and stuff, I don't even want to get into it because I personally lost faith in the bipartisan system way before Trump. Many, many years ago. The bipartisan system was just so obvious to me what it was. And I'm so glad that it's just become more and more glaringly obvious to most people. And I'm honestly surprised when I see people so still deep inside it. You know what I mean? They're so holding so tightly to their red and their blue. And it's just like, come on, people. Humanity isn't red or blue. Humanity is everything together. We're all in this together. Just like, I just don't get it why people don't understand that. And again, that's why you and me do this, right? Because we do understand that, and we do want to love everybody. If I could just give a group hug to everybody who's out there right now, I would. One of the cool things in the office in the studio, I told you, we've got some new energy there. As one of the clients came in today, and his name is Abraham, and I shook his hand, and he goes, "No, man, I'm a hugger." And I was like, I lit up. I was just like, yes. And I opened my arms wide, and I just gave him a big hug. And I, welcome to the studio, man. Glad to have you here. It was so good to connect. So anyway, so I asked you a question and then I rambled again. You have this effect on me where I just get so excited. But like, what do you see happening? Do you have a community planned? I mean, I feel like that's kind of what's going on. Like, I would love to be able to get my listeners together and buy a plot of land and just like grow our own food and that kind of thing. Are you into that
That's
kind
exactly what we're, looking towards. Like, for the High Vibe Love Tribe, we went for 11 straight months, 7 days a week. And then afterwards, it kind of morphed into the Missing Link, where we've been going almost every day. We've been taking weekends off, but every week for the last 3 years, we've been going straight at that. Don't know how long we're going to do this for. We're going through we're kind of, I guess what the Missing Link is just kind of recording history of everybody that's speaking out during this pivotal time. So I'm just trying to reach anybody and everybody that wants to be a part of this record database that 20, 30, 40 years from now, they can study on the look at all what people were saying. And, and I think that that's going to be a part of what the Missing Link is. But, what Angeline and I really want to have is a healing retreat center where I've amassed a whole bunch of stuff with like weights and upside down machines and electronic machines and massaging boots and all kinds of stuff. And Angeline is a healer. And so we're looking for a place where we're going to have a community. So there's options in Bulgaria, there's options in Costa Rica, there's options in Arizona, there's option in possibly BC, Canada. So there are some places we don't have anything set. Angeline has still got, to figure out some stuff with, what she's got to figure out before we can actually, move to one of these places. But, we're that's kind of where the mission is, whether or not the missing link and still interviewing people. Like, I'm still passionate, but there's still a lot more people to interview. So I don't see that ending in the near future,
Right.
but I have no idea. I've never really had I didn't really know what I'm doing. It's just all sources
It just
guiding the
happened.
way. And
I feel that way
it's
too.
just been happening. We didn't build a website for it. We didn't, we haven't gone on to AI and did all these little clips of each interview to try to get it out there. Like, we
Oh
haven't
my
really,
God. Yeah, you
we,
would blow up with that. I think that would really like send you over the top. But that's what I love about what you're doing, man. It's just so authentic. It's so you're just doing it and because you feel it. And I guess because I'm in the same boat and I'm empathic and I can feel it too. I feel what you're doing and I love it. It's so important, which is why you're a returning champion. You've come back to the show again. It's so great. Uh, what was I going to say? We're in this love together. I saw that already. I forgot what I was going to say. See, you got me all excited again.
So we don't know what we're doing, but we're just doing it. And like you said, it's just authentic, it's raw. I've seen a lot of other podcasts and the stuff that have turned me off about them, I didn't want to do. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of tied our hands a little bit. And, because, there's ways that we could try to monetize things, and a lot of stuff has turned me off. And I just want people to see it as a real authentic show. And there's been all kinds of really cool people that have, donated. And, for the first year, a little more, it was all just self-funded. And then all of a sudden some Facebook stars and Facebook subscriptions came, and then all of a sudden then it took care of all the costs of it, so it was no
Nice.
longer costing anything to put it
Beautiful.
on. And then Rumble is starting to, there's a little bit coming from Rumble now and stuff, so we're not really making any money, but it's not costing anything, which is awesome, right? Because either way we had to do this. So even if we had to fund it ourselves, we'd fund it ourselves. But if it ever got to a place where we could not have to, I still have to do other things in order to, put food on the table and stuff, right? So that's the way it goes. But we've slowly, organically grown all of our different platforms. We never paid for a subscriber. We never paid for any advertising. Well, when we first started on the missing link, we did a few, I don't know, maybe like $50 in advertising, but they wouldn't advertise any of the interviews. They would advertise the promos before. So if there was a big name, I would spend $10 or whatever. Like, that's
Boost
the
the
only
post,
time
yeah.
was to boost a post or whatever. That's the only thing that we ever did when we first started, right? But
Right.
everything is organically grown, and like we're over 7,000 on Rumble now, right? We've had 4 YouTube channels deleted, probably almost 20,000 subscribers. We're back up over 2,000. I think we're at 2,100 or something, almost 2,200 subscribers back on YouTube again. So we're just slowly growing. And with each new interview, like, a lot of the very well-known people that we interview don't share out our links or don't share it out. So
Gets frustrating, right? Yeah.
yeah, so it's like they have large followings of people, and if they just share it out and just say, hey, subscribe to this person, I'm going on their show, then we all grow, right? And it's sometimes when they don't do that, it just makes you feel like, where are their loyalties at or whatever? Like, for here, I'm on your show, I shared over 100 places. I just, where I share all our shows, I just did
Yeah.
that whole same thing, for here, because I want to help you grow, because the more you grow, the more I grow, right? Next time I'm on, you're growing, then there's more people. Like, we all just kind of help each other. And if we do that, then we kind of move farther, faster, and I think that that's what it's about, is kind of helping each other along this journey. And the more people you can help, then the more help is going to come back to you throughout the journey. I think that that's kind of how it works.
Jesse, you just summed up the whole sentiment of what I'm doing, what you're doing. I think that's, probably, your philosophy in life. You know, it's definitely my philosophy in life. Jesse, Angeline says you're amazing, and you are. You know, again, you know, some people might be like, oh, those aren't good numbers, but I think my number, I have like 10 people who watch me regularly, and man, we all love the hell out of each other, and that is
The
so
heaven.
important. You know what I mean? It's so important, and I'm not worried because I know it's going to grow, and it does grow all the time. And I mean, I don't know how you guys out there how you guys feel. Say something in the comments if you feel good. Give me a thumbs up or something, right? Isn't that how this works, Jesse? To get engagement, you tell people, ask people the question or something. See, you don't do that. I don't do that. I'm just joking around with my audience, but you know, again, it's a calling, I think, you know, and that's what I feel like is, again, what why you inspire me, because I feel like you're just doing this, like you just said, you don't know what you're doing, you're just doing it because that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? And the same thing here. Grace says it's in the giving that we receive. Absolutely. Leslie and Slaven, what's happening? Good to see you out there. Consciousness community, it's great. I liked and I shared. Thank you so much, always. And I didn't want to call you out, Grace, when you had Al Jarreau wrong, when you talked about that song, We're in This Together. But yes, it was Al Jarreau. Good deal. Oh, Jesse, I love talking to you so much. I don't even know what to say. Why don't you talk to me? I wish I asked Angeline to come on too. Like, you guys are awesome together.
You can have her on. She's great to talk to as well. So you could book
Yeah,
her
you know
as
what,
the
Angeline, if
book
you
her.
want to join, or if you want to be a guest in the future, have your own episode, I would love to have you on and tell your story. I know you've got quite an amazing story as well. Not just the love story, which is an amazing kind of moment to be in now, but previous to that, to bring you to who you are. And Jesse, the same thing. Like, isn't it so amazing as you get older and you become more aware of the love vibration, that you see, you know, who you were and how you developed into the person that you are, you know, all the different experiences that you've had, good and bad, you know, and how what you gave to those situations, what you took from those situations, you know what I mean? Just awareness in general is, it's such a blessing to start understanding in general, right?
Yeah, I think we always, if we're, moving forward, then we're always trying to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday, and whatever that may be, a little smarter, a little kinder, a little more loving. We always try to just be a little bit more today than we were yesterday. And not every day is going to be a wonderful day. There's obviously going to be a lot of ups and downs in this vibration, but the more you're climbing, the more you're on a steady peak, then you know that you're elevating, out of maybe some darker places that you may be into and or have been in. And I'm sure we've all been in some dark places in our life, and we've elevated out of that, and we just keep moving forward and basically we're facing infinity without flinching, and we're just doing that as honorably as we can. And we follow our heart. They really want to get into our headspace and control our headspace with all the deceits and deceptions and inversions and perversions and everything. But when you can get out of your headspace and into your heart space, then that's when you can really, go and live intuitively. And when you're living with your intuition, then you're following your heart, then it doesn't matter about what the mind is, the tricks that it's trying to play on you, because you're a lot more solid and you're standing on your square, and you're not letting those, self-doubts or those, those bumps in the road cause you to knock you off your path. And so I think that that's important, that people really get into their heart, because the heart will truly lead the way.
I'm going to disagree with one thing that you said there, and that is that you think that because you know that, and it's I love everything you just said. I love the idea. It's like the modern day philosopher, right, of just being aware of their own existence and how that fits into the existence of everyone else. And what you were talking about, love and the way you treat other people, like what I find so amazing is how good it feels. And as you become more aware, you become it feels better because you're more aware of how it feels, and so that motivates you to behave that way more, and just put out love and be love. We always say these great things: be the love you want to see. And I just want to tell you that I love what you said. I wrote it down: facing infinity without flinching. I love that. Did you copyright that? That is awesome.
No, that I actually, when we had Max Egan come on to the Missing Link, that's one thing that he said. So after he said that, I've been, saying that a lot because I really align with that, because that's kind of the way my journey has been. I don't know, me being a triple Scorpio, I can easily go into the darkness without being afraid, and then come out shining as brightly as I can. And I've pulled a lot of people out of the darkness, and, because I'm not afraid to go into it to help anybody that I feel the need for. So I've gone into lots of crazy situations throughout my life because of that, no fear attitude. But I'm really appreciative for my whole entire journey, even though it has, not always been the best, but I've had mostly an amazing journey. There hasn't been a lot of bumps in my road.
Right.
And for that, I'm very, very thankful. And I love this place. Like, this place has been like heaven. It's unfortunate that people make it into the HE double hockey stick that, people, that a lot of people feel and experience. But for me, that this place has been like the Garden of Eden. Like, I've been enjoying this ride so much, and I can't imagine, what is still left to come. Like, I've always thought that I was going to be here till at least 180 years old, and I just turned 50. So just say that, I'm here to 150, that I've only lived a third of my life, or just even say 100. I've only lived a half of my life, and
Right.
100 is completely attainable. So in the
Yeah.
first 50 years of my life, I have another 50 more years, and I've done a lot in 50 years. So just
Indeed.
imagine how youthful, how young, we are, if we feel that life is going to continue on. I think for a lot of people, they start to let that, so that a spell creep in. I'm getting old, I can't do this, I can't. And then you manifest yourself into the grave. People are so afraid of dying that, that they're too scared to live. And I
Right.
don't have that attitude. And so I just feel that, the next 50 years, especially finding the beautiful Angeline to have by my side, is just going to make this journey that much more to pleasurable, to treasure, right?
Right.
Something that, I've always kind of been on my own, because I've been always like different. And so, even though I've been surrounded by a lot of people, I've always kind of felt alone, and I don't
Right.
feel alone anymore.
That's amazing, Jesse, and congratulations on that, by the way. And again, everything I just see, I'm glad I shut up for a little bit and let you talk, because everything you're saying is so encouraging and hopeful and true. You know what I mean? It's really amazing, and I love that. I want to catch up a little bit on some of these comments. Obviously, Grace Grella always. With the love and support, you both are brilliant. That's why I love talking to Jesse so much. I really relate to him. But this, I love, Grace. How about Michael and Janice and Jesse and Angeline on a show as examples of love and light couples? I love that. Jesse, I don't know if that appeals to you, but I've been talking to
Yeah.
Janice about doing something and along those lines. And you guys would certainly be the appropriate counterparts to do that. So awesome. We'll talk about that. And it's nice to hear Jesse be interviewed rather than interviewing once in a while. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I asked him on my show, because he's such a great interviewer that I wanted to see how he did as an interviewee. And he is amazing. And Hat Pauser with It's a Good Holodeck. We enjoy it. I love that. I feel like, you have inspired me, Jesse. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, which is maybe this is the reason to do the live stream on another night, even which is to address specific topics. Right, my show is always just like, what is consciousness, and I start there. But one of my guests, Raven Adams, she wants to discuss karma. I think discussing that just gave me the idea of discussing the concept that we're living in a hologram, just as a topic for the night, you know what I mean, and maybe bring on some people who believe in that stuff and have some good perspective on it, because again, those are the things that critical thinkers like to talk about and think about, because it feels good. It tickles your brain when you start thinking. It's like you haven't thought in so long because of all of those layers of not wanting you to think, right?
Well, it's interesting that you said that, because someone today messaged me and he said, I've got a great, idea for a guest for you. And I was like, or an interview. No, I got a great idea for an interview. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he goes, did you want to hear about it? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, you're so intelligent. Why about you? What about you being interviewed? And I'm like, well, it's interesting you say that. I'm actually being interviewed today. Oh, please send me the link. Right.
Right.
So then I sent the link out or whatever. Right. So, funny, I've been asked to be interviewed like lots of times. And then for some reason, the people just don't follow through. And
Yeah,
I'm not going to mention any names, but these are some like pretty well-known people, and like
wow.
I've had them on the show, and then they're like, yeah, you got to come on my show, and I'm like, sure, anytime. And then just never hear back from them. And I don't like say like, hey, you said you'd interview me, or you still got, if they want me to interview me, then they'll ask me. I could probably get myself onto the show, but I don't want that. I want
Right.
people to actually want to talk to me, not be on the show because I got myself on the show,
Right.
opposed to them actually genuinely wanting to listen,
Right.
and hear from me and my thoughts on things, because I've been researching this stuff for a long time. So, and I've talked to lots of people. So I'm pretty sure I've got some pretty insightful things to say if people would just ask.
You do, and you know what? You just made me feel bad, Jesse. I feel bad because that's real. I mean, that would be really a great interview, and it's just not what my show is about. But I know you have a wealth of knowledge of, different concepts and ideas that are, against the mainstream, that are important conversations to have. And so, with that being said, I want to thank you so much for your time, because I know how busy you are. I want to tell people, I wonder if I have a banner here for you. I thought I did, but I don't see it. Let me make one real quick. I want to just remind people to check you out. So it's the missing link. You are on Rumble. You are on what are your platforms? Why don't you do this while I type the missing
Okay,
link?
so links. I actually can send you the links that we are on here. I don't know if you would
Okay.
want to share
Yeah, I'll share 'em.
that. But,
Sure. Absolutely. Listen, we're, like you said, we're in this together, right? If we support each other, it's only going to help us both, and I support you 1,000,000%.
and yeah, so we're on 9 platforms, and then on the 10th one is the Dollar Vigilante TV, Jeff Berwick from the Dollar Vigilante. They picked up our show as well. So
Awesome.
we actually earned some kind of a crypto, I guess. For I've never seen it. I've never, we only get like 2, 3, 4, 500 views sometimes on his platform, but
Right.
he'd set up with an account that everybody that watches everybody that watches, we get like 10 cents or 12 cents on each interview. So we're maybe up to like $20 or $30, $50 or whatever it is. But I'm never going to look at that until like years down the road. Maybe it'll be a few $1,000s or something that maybe I can do something with or whatever if I remember the passwords. But these are the different platforms that we're on. Even the Dollar Vigilante TV one.
Oh wow! Yeah.
You have to be a subscribing to. You have to subscribe to his network, I think, or whatever. So, but I'm just wondering. Then there was one more. It didn't fit in the comments.
I just put them. Actually, I put them in the chat because then people can copy and paste. If I put them up on the screen, people can't really. It's like typing in a bunch of gibberish. So, let me put this one in the chat as well. Awesome, Jesse. Amazing stuff. Great work. I love what you're doing. You know, again, you're an inspiration to me. You know, just because of what you're doing and how it ties into what I'm doing so closely. Let me just get this last one into the comments here. And I saw Hat commented about congratulations. I didn't know you were on Jeff Berwick's platform. Awesome. Very cool.
We interviewed him. And so the crazy part of that interview was someone said, you know, people told me about him. I didn't really know too much, right? And I've seen his little walk and talks a little bit here and there. And someone said, you know, you should get Jeff Berwick. And so I went and I did a little research and I found his contact and I sent him an invite. Oh, and I asked Max Egan. When I interviewed Max, because Max was living in his place in Acapulco when he left Australia, and I asked Max to mention I'd like to get Jeff on or whatever, right? So I sent him an invite, and then he said yes, sure, he'd come on. So I find out. And someone else that's been following him said that I haven't seen him do an interview in years.
Wow.
So he used to be on like television for stocks and all this. So the very first interview that he did, like outside of his own little walk and talks, like his own little show that he does, was on The Missing Link.
That's
I couldn't
amazing.
believe that he said that he agreed to come on the show, and he's never been in years. Someone said 10 years, but I think he told me it was about 3 years since he had done an interview. And the first one he does on our show, like we don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of people that watch. We've got, you know, like thousands to maybe 10,000s of dedicated, you know, kind of loyal people that like our show, but we're not like massive because we speak out against the agenda, doctors against the agenda, people against the agenda. So we're not promoted in the algorithms at all. So we don't have this, you know, crazy, you know, millions of people that watch us. And he decided to come on our show. So when I talked to him, he said, hey, I'd love to host your, he says, I love your show. And he was like, I'd love to host it on our program. Would you be up for that? I said, yeah. I'm like, that's amazing. So ever since then, as soon as because they get it from Odyssey. So we're also on Odyssey was one of our links. And those links, please, if anybody has any of those platforms, just go and hit subscribe, even if you're not really watching them. Just every single number counts every single time, you know, as you're subscribing, just in case to pop up. But so whenever we post it on Odyssey, he has some kind of automatic thing that just uploads it from Odyssey right to his network. So all of our shows is saved in another place, right? And I think that was one of the big reasons, not just for reaching, but just in case they hammer one of the platforms, you know, come down hard on us. We're in 9 other places. So, you know, for them to go through and try to take down 9 platforms of us would completely show targeting of us, right? But one is BitChute is like blockchain, right? Jeff Berwick, his show, that's blockchain stuff. So that stuff is kind of out there, and I don't think that they can really delete that. And I think that that's one important part is the work that we're doing just can't be erased.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Let me ask you a quick question. I was just thinking about this. Can you cite some influences? Did you like listen to like Art Bell when you were younger, or like, you know, what got you into critical thinking?
what got me into, I never read a lot of books. I didn't pay attention in class in school. I was never religiously indoctrinated. Like, I was born Catholic, I was baptized, but I never went to First Communion, never went to Bible study. So I didn't get religious indoctrination. I didn't get school indoctrination. I didn't really pay attention. I didn't really like it. I was kind of like the class clown. I'd cram for tests and did quite well. Um, I don't know. When I first saw people on, the commercials in Ethiopia with their ribs hanging out, and when I was young, maybe like 8 or 7 or 8 or 9 years old, and we had so much food that we're throwing away our scraps, and
Right.
they didn't have any food. I think that was the first time that I was just like, kind of was like, there's something wrong with this place.
Wow.
And that was kind of at like in kind of pretty early age. And so then I've always been just kind of trying to figure out what this place was. And then I got kind of kicked out of my house when I was 15. So I got adopted by the streets, and hung out with some really rough and tough people, put their protection around me, and then taught me how to fight and protect myself and make money. And then I kind of got involved in that kind of area. But then I was like, this is crazy, always having to look over your shoulder, and the inner fighting between, like, different gangs and things, and I didn't want anything to do with that. So I got myself out of that world, put myself into the business world, and then I just always wanted to change the world for the better. I just seen so many different facets of life that I wanted to be like an inspiration that I could help make this world a different place. But I didn't have any go-tos. I never heard of Art Bell until like recently, so I didn't know about Art Bell and that. David Icke, I didn't even really know. Like, when we interviewed him on number 15 or 15th interview, when we just started the Missing Link, I didn't even know much about him, right? I never was into the reptilians and all this kind of
Right.
stuff. So I've been just as much, I guess it's a student of everything. Everybody's had a
Yeah.
little bit of influence. I've learned a little here, a little there. I haven't been, focused on one person. I've just kind of been learning from everyone and everything. And I think that that's what keeps me so well rounded, is
Mhm.
that I haven't really focused like a flat earth, or focused on reptilians, or focused on one
Right.
thing. It's just everything has been a learning for me,
Yeah.
and I appreciate everybody's different take on how things are. And I don't look at anyone that thinks on some of these things as crazy, because this world is kind of crazy, the way
Right.
things are
Right.
inverted and deceitful and all these kind of things. So I can never discredit or discount anybody's crazy story, because the stuff that I've seen for real is crazy. So,
Right. Right.
nothing is out of the realm of being possible in this holographic universe, or whatever the heck this thing is.
Mhm, mhm. Wow, I didn't know that. That I love it, man. You have a much deeper story than it gets deeper all the time. As the more I poke around in your ocean, and the deeper it goes. That's awesome, man. And uh, it's true. It's interesting, and I've said this to some people recently. Most of the really like spiritual and the most loving people I know are people that were like, yeah, you wouldn't recognize me 20 years ago. I was not a good person. It's interesting, but that journey, I guess, takes you to some places. Like you said, when you said, you saw the Ethiopia commercials. Like, I remember those, but the way you reacted to it, was seems much more compassionate than the way I did at the time. Now I can see, now I can say, oh yeah, those commercials would affect me that way. But at the time, I was covered with a couple of layers of that, the ignorance. But yeah, that's really amazing. And the other thing I was thinking earlier, I just wanted to mention was, I think for me, the show has been kind of a part of my journey, in that some of the guests that I have on the show, I feel like, ooh, I was supposed to meet that person this week. You know what I mean? And talk about what we talked about. And I'm imagining you've had a lot of those experiences. And I guess I was thinking about that earlier when I talked about community, right? And you talked about the possibilities in Bolivia or Costa Rica. Does that come from people you've met through this journey?
Well, Bulgaria
Oh,
is
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. So that's Barrett. He's Tunian. He's got his own show. He just interviewed me a week or two ago, a couple weeks. So he's a landowner in Bulgaria, and
Mhm.
he's looking to build communities, looking for people to come there. And we don't own anything. We
Mhm.
just go there, and like he doesn't want like we're not having ownership, right? And I
Mhm.
think it's just a part of being a part of something. So finding the right people that would want to help. And he said you'd never have to pay any rent. You would never have to pay a
Mhm.
bill. He said, and there's just lots of land to be able to, make into something. And so that's definitely a great opportunity, except for that's in Europe. So Bulgaria is kind of in Europe, where who knows what kind of craziness is all happening there. That's kind of the center of all kinds of craziness. So that's a great opportunity. He's a beautiful soul. We have a good friend of mine who's a landowner here. He needs to get out of here. He's been targeted by the system for speaking out against pedophilia and all kinds of stuff. Like he's a hardcore Christian guy, and he's had the RCMP come down on him. They
Wow.
murdered his dog. My
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 God.
dog's dad got murdered by the police. And so they ended up raiding his house and taking all his guns and 500 pounds of ammo and
Wow.
stuff, just because they were scared of someone who's not scared of them,
Right.
right? And so he needs to get out of Canada. So he wants to get some land in Costa Rica. So he really wants us to come there. So that's another place where we could just
Mhm.
have land without having to fork out, because we don't have tons of money to be
Right.
able to buy it. So there's these
Sure.
opportunities. And then another guy who we met in Arizona, he really likes Angeline and I, and his wife was actually on the missing link, a nurse that ended up getting affected by all of this stuff that happened. And so they're looking for some land and stuff. So like there's opportunities out there, and we're not sure which direction we're going to go. But
Mhm.
I know that we're just going to follow our heart, and it's
Yeah.
God's going to lead us to the right place at the right time, and nothing's off the table. We haven't decided where we're going to go. Like Angeline's still got to figure out her stuff before we can go.
Right.
But once that happens, then we can actually seriously look and probably wanting to get out of Canada, because it's not being run by they're just like most other places, being run by criminals. So, but
Right.
we're looking for places that are a little bit more freer from that criminal control. And some of these other places seem to be a little bit more open and free. But
Right.
anywhere you go, is they're trying to control the whole world. So it's
Yeah, yeah, it's rough.
it's
It's definitely rough. Yeah, yeah. Costa Rica sounds beautiful. I have a friend who lives there, and I know there's a lot of healing energy and healers who go there, and there's a lot of that kind of that attitude. People who just kind of want to live as community and live as humans, not as Americans or Canadians, or just live as humans. And I think that's. I think I was saying earlier, what I like about your vibe is that you have hope for the future, and that's what I feel like is going to be. It may have to go backwards a little bit, back to the days of caves and fire, but for us all to get along. But I think essentially that's what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? But then I also have, in my head, I have a lot of different timelines that play out with the AI stuff that's happening right now. Um, and what's interesting, not to get into a topic here after the hour, but what's interesting is AI in general. My thoughts on AI in positive lights, because I know there's a lot of fear and a lot of negative light out there about AI. But I have some interesting theories about AI in a positive way. Maybe we can get into that another day.
Well, when Tommy Chong came on, and thank you for that link. When Tommy
Oh,
Chong came on, he said that he's like, AI is gonna fix the climate problems. It's gonna fix the government. He's like, AI is gonna fix it all for us. So some people are set that this artificial intelligence, or this quantum computer intellect is going to create a better world. And so I'm hoping that it's, either way, it's going to be a better world, because I'm still in it. And, as long as I'm
Yes.
here, I feel it has hope. So and same with everybody. As long as you're all still in it, it has hope. As long as you have a heart that loves, and you're not hardened by all the horrible things that have happened, that you've seen, that you've heard, as long as you're still living this world in love, then this world has hope. And I think that, when a lot of people have hope to make a better world, we're just going to make it. Like,
That's it.
there's not an option of not making it. And I think that's what helps me keep so optimistic. And I've seen more people awaken in the last 4 years than I've seen in the 30 years combined that I was previous. So that also gives me a lot of hope that a lot more people are seeing this for what it is. And, the illusion, the veil is coming down, and people are breaking that spell. And, the more people that break the spell, then, the easier this transition to a better place is going to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God, great sentiment. I just wanted to acknowledge this comment. Writing for Godot, the Central American countries have a much lazier government, which is huge plus for the people. So I guess there's less. But like you said, I hear a lot of stuff about the governments and what they're doing, but I also hear a lot of stuff that a lot of them are falling apart, right? Because of what's going on. But again, Jesse, I don't want to like start a conversation here. It's already 10:20. Again, I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. I love your show so much. The Missing Link for people out there. What words of love do you have for my audience before I put you in the green room?
Words of love. We've been put here at this time. It's a pivotal time in history. And, you're just as important as everybody else. We're all is equally as important. It doesn't matter where you see yourself. You are a beautiful child of God, and that you wouldn't be here at this time unless, there was a reason for it. So do the best you can. And it doesn't matter what that is. Some people are more in front of the cameras, behind, and sharing, just helping out a neighbor. As long as you have, love in your heart, then you're going to be okay. And life is eternal. So this is only a temporary stop. Life goes on. So don't be afraid. Speak out where you know that you should be speaking out. Don't be afraid to, because you may not have a chance to speak out if you don't. So just continue being the best possible you can, and face infinity without flinching, because this thing goes on. And just, you are made out of love. You come from love. God is love. So be that love, and just honor the gift of life that you've been given.
Jesse, if I could give you a big hug, I would be giving you a big hug right now. For sure. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I will see you in the ether. I'm sure I'll be dancing with you soon. But thank you for coming on the live stream, man. Really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And we're going to be doing another open panel on Saturday night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you're more than welcome to come hang out. And anybody else, we have an open panel where we just put out the link. We're starting off with a half an hour dance session. So between 7 and 7:30 Eastern is just going to be dancing.
So
and
much
then
fun for those who haven't experienced it. So much fun.
And then after that, then we just talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And, sometimes you get some people that really are dominant conversers that like to speak about everything. And then, some people are just a little bit more quiet, but I try to, move it along so everybody kind of gets a little bit, to say. So I do the best I can. Sometimes when I get on there, I take a little bit of oil and a little bit of cannabis. So I'm a little bit more laid back and not speaking so much. So I try to keep control the best I can while I'm kind of like flying pretty high, but it seems to be working out pretty good.
I love the transparency, Jesse. Thank you so much. I will see you soon, man. Thanks again.
Okay, love you, brother. Love you all. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Oh man, I got to tell you, while Jesse was giving you guys those words of love and wisdom, I just instinctively started to take a deep breath in, just listening to him. Take a deep breath out. Jesse is the kind of energy and the kind of person it's almost like a preacher in a good way, right? Like the preachers that you like that aren't talking about religion, but they're just talking about loving, and they're talking about they're just giving out this energy. Like there are some people who just give out this energy, and that's what it was. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So good. So good. So simple. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me just open up my calendar, see who I've got next week. Next week I have, it's Stuart from the Peace Tribe, another great social media guy who just is out there promoting peace, promoting connection between humans. Just somebody really great. And it's going to be a great interview. I love talking to these folks. I hope you guys love listening to these folks, and that you come back always. I love you guys too for just being there. Not even the people don't comment. I love you guys too. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.